Hi, it's Pastor Paul Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. It is Fantastic Friday. Can you believe we're almost at the weekend? We're so grateful how God's love, His grace, and mercy keeps us in the midst of all life and all of life situations. Do remember, it is that month of October, so women and men as well want to remind you about breast cancer awareness. Early detection is always the key. Want to remind our men about prostate cancer awareness. Please make sure you go out and get checked early. And also want to remind you, it's Clergy Appreciation Month. We're so fortunate here at the Fountain that God has blessed us here in the city of Raleigh to be the place where we have our North Carolina State Fairgrounds. Many of you might be going to the fair today. Well, that's your choice, and please make sure you make wise and healthy decisions about who you're around, what you eat, and where you eat. Always exercise the greatest amount of caution and let your conscience be your guide. And remember, always, for every action, there's always a consequence, and we don't know what those consequences are. Please make sure you do what is in your best interest and that which gives you the greatest amount of comfort in all that you do. We thank God that God comforts us through and by His Word, but His Word also makes us uncomfortable when we hear it and it meets us right where we are today. Today is a very uncomfortable word that we hear that comes out of the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter. In this 17th chapter, it is whereby God begins to reveal to us through and by the Apostle John. John is on the Isle of Patmos. He is there where God gives him this divine revelation. And it's a revelation that's filled with signs and symbols. And they're all very mysterious. And it's hard for us to always envision them. And the sign and the symbol that He gives us today is about the unfaithfulness of Israel and the unfaithfulness of God's people. And so much is depicted in this passage about unfaithfulness at its most harshest way in which we ever would have imagined. It is here that God begins to let us see and helps us to see that how all of those who found themselves being unfaithful in their relationship to God, going after other idols, not following the things that God has given them to do, beginning to participate in activities and have actions that do not bring God glory. It is now that God begins to let them see of this mysterious sign that's going to be there that represents how people have lived a life. And thou, this beast was now dead and has now come back alive to wreak havoc upon all those people who've been guilty of this. This lets us see the book of Revelation begins to remind us that God will judge this world based upon His standards. Oftentimes, we live in a world that we say, I don't judge, I don't judge. You're right, I don't judge. It's not my job to judge, but God is the one who does all the judging, and it's not my role to call God's judgment. Here in the text, we begin to see this very mysterious way in which we see how God uses signs and symbols through and by John to remind us how He's going to bring judgment upon the planet and upon the people who have not lived according to His will. Well, I don't know about you, but whenever I watch a scary movie, whenever I watch something, it reminds me to be alert, to be on guard. This passage reminds all of us to be alert and be on guard because God will definitely bring to pass what He said. This passage reminds me how important it is for me to have an endless and a love that is for Almighty God without compromise. That nothing can come between the love that God has for me. Nothing can come between my love that I have for God. It doesn't matter how good it looks. It doesn't matter how interesting it sounds. It reminds all of us that we should have a very strong commitment to honor God and to honor His Word. In the passage today, it begins to let us see the dire consequences of those who chose not to. And I don't know about you, but I would love to always make the decision to say, God, I want to honor You because I want to hear You say those words, well done, good and faithful servant. Today, let's think about how we're living our lives. Let's think about how we are sharing the good news of the gospel. Let's think about where we would like to bring our friends and family to share an eternal vacation with us, and that is with God in heaven. Today, I want to ask you, have you made the examination? If you haven't, let's do it today, and let's make sure that we can say, God, it is well with my soul, and I'm looking forward to that day when we'll all be together with You in heaven. May God bless you. May heaven smile upon you.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Download today, select Giving from the main menu, and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.